At exactly 3:42 in the morning, 3 police cars, a code enforcement officer, and a very curious squirrel were eyeballing my front yard. The crime, a rogue inflatable pool. 3 floaties deep into a late-night splash session. HOA president, Karen Whitlock, draped in a leopard print shawl and clutching the binder labeled Subdivision Aesthetic Standards, was gesturing at my neon pink flamingo floaty like it was a biohazard. "He's ruining our curb appeal," she wailed, her voice slicing through the quiet night like a foghorn. "That flamingo is a visual assault on Willow Grove Meadows." I'm Nick Callahan, a laid-back graphic designer with a penchant for tiki torches, discount lemonade, and the occasional midnight swim. I moved to Willow Grove for its promise of a live and let live vibe, only to discover the HOA had morphed into a mandatory regime under Karen's velvet-gloved fist. Karen, a former event planner turned neighborhood czar, lived the doors down and saw herself as the gatekeeper of suburban perfection. My crime, setting up a weekend pool party without filling out her 6-page recreational water feature approval form. The code enforcement officer, a tired man named Carl with a clipboard and a caffeine deficiency, glanced at my perfectly safe, above-ground pool surrounded by a kiddie fence, a stack of towels, and a no-diving sign I made from an old pizza box. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Ma'am, this is a legal setup. You called 911 over a pool noodle?" Karen gripped her binder tighter, her knuckles whitening. "The covenants clearly state that all water features must be pre-approved to prevent aesthetic degradation." Carl cut her off, his voice flat. "The covenants don't trump city ordinances, ma'am." The police exchanged looks, muttered something about overtime for this, and drove off. Carl followed, shaking his head. The squirrel stayed, perched on my mailbox, eyeing my inflatable donut floaty like it was a gourmet treat. I thought that was the end of it. A weird night, a funny story to tell my buddies over beers. But Karen had other plans. By Monday, she'd gone full suburban warlord. My mailbox was stuffed with 8 violation notices, each printed on official Willow Grove Meadows letterhead, with a watermark of a tasteful magnolia. My pool ladder was deemed an unsanctioned elevation device. My tiki torches violated flame harmony guidelines. She even claimed my citronella candles were olfactory pollutants disrupting the sensory balance of the neighborhood. I started a folder just for her complaints, labeling it Karen's Manifesto. By Tuesday, things got weirder. I caught her lurking behind my mailbox, snapping photos of my pool floaties with a camera that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. For the record, she hissed, vanishing into a shrub like a caffeinated ninja. I half expected her to rappel down my chimney next. The notices kept coming, each more unhinged than the last. My pool filter was an unauthorized mechanical hum, disturbing the sonic tranquility. My beach ball was a spherical disruption of spatial flow. She measured my pool's diameter with a tape measure and declared it an aggressive water containment unit. I started timing her patrols, 6:45 a.m., 1 p.m., 4:30 p.m., like a hawk with a vendetta and a day planner. By Wednesday, she'd escalated to psychological warfare. I woke to find my pool deck sprinkled with what looked like seagull droppings, suspicious considering we're 200 miles inland. A quick sniff revealed melted vanilla icing, strategically smeared to mimic nature's wrath. I had to hand it to her. Karen's creativity was diabolical. I scraped off the icing, tossed it in the compost, and added fake poop to my growing list of her offenses. Thursday brought a new level of absurdity. I found a note taped to my pool pump, written in Karen's looping cursive. "Your unauthorized aquatic installation is causing irreparable harm to the neighborhood's Kai. I'm a graphic designer, not a feng shui master, but I was pretty sure my $99 inflatable pool wasn't disrupting the cosmic balance." I started documenting her antics, snapping photos of her lurking behind my azaleas or scribbling notes in her binder. During her thrice daily patrols, I even caught her measuring my pool noodles with a ruler, muttering about excessive buoyancy ratios. The woman had turned neighborhood watch into a full-time espionage gig, and I was her public enemy number 1. By Friday, Karen unleashed her piece de resistance, a certified letter from the Willow Grove Meadows Emergency Aesthetic Council, a body that consisted entirely of Karen and her yapping dachshund, Sir Bark Salad, listed as community morale consultant. The letter demanded I attend a crisis mediation hearing regarding my disruptive aquatic behavior. The hearing was scheduled for Saturday at 7:30 a.m. in her garage, which she transformed into a mock courtroom with a card table, a velvet curtain, and a toy gavel she clearly swiped from her grandson's toy chest. Sir Bark Salad was perched on a cushion, wearing a tiny bootie and looking as unimpressed as I felt. I showed up with a thermos of coffee and a folding chair, figuring this would be a spectacle worth witnessing. Karen's garage was a sight to behold. She draped the card table in a burgundy tablecloth, set up a laptop with a PowerPoint titled The Pool Plague, a Neighborhood Threat, and placed a small fan to create a dramatic breeze through her shawl. Sir Bark Salad sat in judgment, his booty slightly askew. "This tribunal will come to order," Karen declared, banging her plastic gavel with the gravitas of a Supreme Court justice. The PowerPoint was a masterpiece of suburban lunacy. Slide 1 featured a blurry photo of my flamingo floaty, labeled chromatic felony. Slide 2 showed my pool pump, captioned auditory terrorist device. Slide 3 was a grainy shot of my citronella candles, deemed chemical warfare against olfactory harmony. I sipped my coffee, trying not to laugh as Sir Bark Salad yipped approvingly at each slide. Karen's evidence portion was a work of obsessive genius. She cataloged every pool-related item I owned with the precision of a forensic investigator. My pool skimmer was an unauthorized water agitation tool. My inflatable donut was a circular aesthetic violation. She'd even photographed my flip-flops, labeling them hazardous footwear designed for aquatic chaos. But the crown jewel was her impact statement, delivered with the fervor of a televangelist. She claimed my pool was fracturing the spiritual alignment of Willow Grove meadows, disrupting the delicate balance of suburban serenity. According to her, the neon flamingo was casting discordant energy waves, and my pool's ripples were disturbing the neighborhood's vibrational frequency. She demanded immediate cessation of all aquatic activities, removal of the pool, a written apology to the community, and get this, a $1,500 payment for a landscape reharmonization consultation to restore the disrupted Kai, Sir Bark Salads. Yip seemed skeptical, and I couldn't blame him. I left the tribunal with a headache and a grudging respect for Karen's commitment to the absurd. But the tide turned on Tuesday when a buddy from the city planning office, Mike, dropped a bombshell. "Nate, you had that property survey done when you bought the house, right? You might want to check the northwest corner." I dug out the survey, a dusty folder I hadn't touched since closing. Sure enough, the map showed my property line extending 12 feet beyond Karen's prized rose garden. A manicured masterpiece complete with a trellis, a stone fountain, and a hand-painted sign reading Serenity Grove. She'd been gardening on my land for years, assuming it was hers because the previous owner never cared. I called Mike back, and he suggested a formal survey to make it official. By Wednesday afternoon, a surveyor named Gloria arrived with GPS equipment in a no-nonsense attitude. She moved with the precision of a chess grandmaster, planting neon orange flags along the true property line. Every measurement confirmed it. Karen's rose garden, trellis, fountain, and even a decorative birdhouse were squarely on my property. Gloria handed me the updated survey map, her eyes twinkling. "This is gonna be fun," she said. "She's been trespassing, storing materials, and building structures without permits. You can demand she remove everything or file a civil suit." The implications hit me like a perfectly inked pool noodle. While Karen had been documenting my violations with the zeal of a conspiracy theorist, she'd been committing the ultimate HOA sin, unauthorized use of someone else's land. The irony was thicker than the chlorine in my pool. I gave her 7 days to remove her garden or face legal action. When I knocked on her door at 6:45 a.m., her usual patrol time, she answered in a lavender tracksuit, her face a mix of confusion and defiance. I held up the survey map. "We need to talk, Karen. Your roses, they're on my land. All of it. Trellis, fountain, the works." Her jaw dropped, then snapped shut. "That's impossible." She sputtered. "I've been maintaining that garden for 5 years. There are adverse possession laws." I shook my head. "Not in this county, and not after 5 years. You've been trespassing. Move it, or I file a suit." Karen's suburban dictator persona crumbled like a sandcastle at high tide. She tried bargaining. "I'll reduce your violation notices to warnings if you let me keep the garden." When that failed, she pivoted to threats. "The neighborhood will shun you. You'll never be invited to the annual potluck." I reminded her I'd skipped the potluck since it required a culinary pre-approval form. Her final gambit was spiritual. "That garden isn't just plants," she whispered, her voice trembling with mystic intensity. "It's arranged in a sacred spiral to channel prosperity. The roses face north for grounding, the lavender east for renewal, the daisies west for wisdom. Moving it would unravel Willow Grove's energy matrix. I stared at her. Karen, it's a garden, not a portal to Narnia. She clutched her shawl. It's a sacred spiral. I paid $3,000 for a master gardener to design it. Mike, who joined me with a formal notice, was unmoved. Mom, sacred or not, it's trespassing. You have 7 days. Karen tried everything. Crocodile. Tears about her investment in neighborhood beautification. Threats to ban me from the community pool, mailbox cluster, and even the dog park. I don't own a dog. She circulated a petition to protect established floral traditions. For people sign it, including her yoga instructor and Sir Bark Salads. Groomer. As the deadline loomed, the garden stayed put. On day 8, I rented a hedge trimmer and a chipper, parked them in my driveway, and started dismantling her roses right in front of her. The trellis went first, its wooden slats crunching like kindling. Karen stood at her fence, still in her shawl, screaming about illegal flora destruction. The police arrived, checked the survey, and shrugged. Ma'am, it's his property. Buy roses like normal people. The chipper devoured her lavender necks, the scent of justice wafting through the air. Sir Bark Salad howled in protest, but the squirrel from Night 1 watched approvingly, nibbling a stolen pool noodle. Karen's final stand was a neighborhood vote to ban backyard pools. 5 people showed up. 3 were pro-pool, including a kid, with a super soaker who declared my pool awesome. The motion tanked. I wasn't done, though. On my reclaimed land, I built a raised deck, set up a new pool, and installed motion-activated floodlights aimed at Karen's bedroom window. The city also had thoughts about her fountain, an unpermitted structure. The fine was hefty. As the enforcement officer handed her the citation, Karen glared across the property line. This isn't over, she hissed. I floated on my flamingo, raised a lemonade, and replied, for me, it's a splash.